Have you ever had cauliflower soup? Oh my goodness. Today I'm going to be whipping up the sweet potato cauliflower soup. It's going to have some bacon, a little cheesy roux, and a little rum. That's right. So you guys, come on back and let me show you how to do this. This is so delicious. Y'all are going to love it. You're going to love it. Hey y'all, so today we are whipping up this beautiful cauliflower sweet potato soup. So the first thing I want to do here is get this pan heated up with a little bit of olive oil, and then I'm going to add some bacon and go ahead and cook it off, because although we have, and not a lot of olive oil, just a little bit, although we have some flavors going on here with the vegetables, really the bacon is going to add a lot more flavor. So I've just got some bacon already cut up. I'm just going to put it in my pan just like that. And we're going to crisp it up a little bit. You don't have to crisp it up a whole lot, but I am going to remove a little bit because I want to use some as my garnish. So we've got our bacon cooking here. Let's let that get heated up. All right. So as we're heating this up, I want to go ahead and start on these vegetables. Now, cauliflower. Cauliflower will be in your farm box and at your farmer's market in late fall and spring. This is when you're going to find this. This is a snowball cauliflower here. So it's a really good one to use in this recipe. And all you want to do is get in there and pop off some of these florets. Now this recipe calls for, you know, a few florets, not the whole bunch. So you can save this to make cauliflower rice or whatever else you want. This is really a wonderful recipe for tomorrow, because the older it gets, the more wonderful and delicious that it gets with a little bit of time. So just peel off your cauliflower just like that. And then I'm going to move some of my ingredients out of the way here as we get to chopping, because there's a couple things that need to go in with this bacon. One is an onion. Just a regular old onion. I'm going to cut it in half because I don't need the whole onion. So what I'm going to do is just give it a peel. Now when you're dicing an onion, if you will keep this bottom root on, it makes it easier to dice because it will hold that onion together. Compost bucket. Compost bucket. So important. So what I'm going to do is just chop it into a quarter. Come back in. Give it a slice down the middle. Now I kind of want a little bit of a chunky cut on this. I'm going to dice it a little thin, but a chunky cut's fine because it's really going to cook down. It's going to kind of melt into this soup. It's just going to add a little bit of flavor here. This is not an onion soup. This is a cauliflower sweet potato soup. There you go. Claw fingers back, good sharp knife. No big deal. There we go. All right, so I've got some bacon in here, and I'm not going to need a whole lot of bacon. Just a few bacon strips in here is all I'm going to need. But I'm really kind of rendering the bacon down, and I'm going to crisp it up a little bit, but I don't need to crisp it up a whole lot. So just a little bit of bacon in here. I've used 2 slices, kind of cut them in half and just rendered them. I'm going to render them down, and then I've got my cauliflower. And what you want to do is kind of pull this cauliflower apart, because we're going to dice into it, because you don't want these huge pieces of cauliflower in this soup. Diced up a half an onion here, just a little half onion. And then I need to start working on this sweet potato, because this sweet potato is what's going to take the longest as far as getting this ready in this recipe. So compost bucket, move this out of the way. And all I'm doing is taking a potato peeler and just peeling off this sweet potato. Don't worry about the mess. If you're not making a mess when you're cooking, then you're working in a restaurant with Gordon Ramsay. Which I love Gordon Ramsay too. But life is messy. Get in there. Sweet potato has a lot of beta carotene. It's a really wonderful vegetable, and in the fall we have a lot of sweet potatoes here on the farm. You're going to find a lot of sweet potatoes in your farmer's market in the fall, along with those cauliflowers. And the cauliflower, one of the things cauliflower is going to come in a little late because it really needs those really cool temperatures to really get a good cauliflower. So for this end, I'm just going to take it, cut it off, and then I'll just remove anything that I don't want, because I'm just going to dice these into chunks. Oh God, that bacon smells so good. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had bacon, so it smells really good. All right. Get my compost pile out of the way. I always put my compost pile right in the middle of the camera. It's like, I'm so proud of my compost here, my little compost bucket. Weird. All right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take it and cut it in half, because I need a flat surface on this sweet potato to get a nice cut. So, there you go. Move out the way, onions. So, I'm just going to cut it into strips, and then I'm going to come back in here and chunk it. Now, sweet potatoes are going to take the longest in this recipe, like I said, to cook. So I don't want them to be too big pieces, too big of these pieces, because they need to cook down in a short amount of time. But they add so much sweetness to this recipe. Perfect. Perfect. These might be just a little big right there. Let me go ahead and cut those down a little bit. Cut you down to size. That's right. So, bacon. Hear that sizzle, sizzle, sizzle? Wonderful. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. Cooking outside and cooking bacon and the wind's blowing? Yeah. Trying to blow that hot grease all over me. All right. I need a hair doobie. I always have to put my hair up when I'm cooking. For the most part, anyway. All right, so we've got our sweet potatoes all cut up here. Bacon's looking great. So let's go ahead and start on our carrots. I'm going to go ahead and give these carrots a little peel. With my peeler. We'll clean that up. Don't you worry about it. Alright. Those on out of here. These I'm going to cube as well. And again, carrots are going to add a really beautiful, sweet flavor to this soup. Oh yeah. Gorgeous. So, take the end off. And I'm going to go ahead and take this bottom, because one thing, and you're going to cut it in half. Again, you really want, when you're cutting, the flat surface of anything. That way it can't roll on you. And if it can't roll, then guess what? It can't cut you if it can't roll. So that's the main thing. So I'm going to take my carrot. I've cut it in half. I'm going to go ahead and cut it down again. And then I'm just going to cube it. Claw fingers back. I'm running out of space here. Good sharp knife, just some cubes. You know, this is a soup too that you can make ahead of time. You can prep. If you do meal prep, you can prep most of these ingredients and they will be ready to go. So if you are in a CSA, if you do have a farm box, you get it home, just go ahead and cut some of these up and get your kind of a plan together and cook them up and you'll be ready to go. All right. Looking gorgeous. These are about ready to come out, so I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. Bacon. Listen, you can say whatever you want to. There's just about nothing better than bacon. Just right in, sweet potatoes, goes in with the onions, carrots, That's what needs to go in first. Sweet potatoes, carrots, and onion. Gorgeous. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Where's your garlic? If I make a dish that doesn't have garlic in it, very rarely will I make a dish that doesn't have garlic in it. Garlic's coming up. So for this one, just a couple of cloves, give it a smash. Take off that outer wrapper, take off that end. I'm just going to finely dice it. Toss it in there. The reason that I don't put that garlic in at the beginning is because really what I'm really looking for here is I am looking to flavor, not to burn my garlic. There's nothing worse than burnt herbs and burnt garlic. So really when you're cooking garlic, you want to bring that garlic up to temperature. You don't want to put it in too fast. You don't want to put it in at the beginning. You want to put it in to where it's going to get the least amount of cook time. So I want to show you something here. This is my pink, Chinese pink celery. It's so pungent. It's such a wonderful little, now it doesn't get that big, or mine didn't get that big, but all I'm going to do is just take it and I'm going to dice it up, and I'm going to use some of my celery greens. And you can save these greens too, because these are great in potato salad, egg salad, all of that. Those celery greens, go ahead and just chunk them right in. Just like that. Wind keeps blowing out my eye. So I'm just going to take a few of these greens, and this has big flavor. This is not like a standard celery that's been sitting at the grocery store for, 5 months. Celery does stay at the grocery store for a long time. But this is a fresh, just really pungent. It's a really good recipe, a really good celery to use when you really want that really intense celery taste. And so I only used a little bit, so I'm not going to get overpowered here with the celery, but it's going to be really nice adding to the sweet potato and to this cauliflower. Speaking of cauliflower, let's go ahead and start prepping our cauliflower. So I'd like to take off these kind of big hunks and come in and just give them a little, you don't want like too big of a bite. You want bite size. You want a bite size. Take off the stem. And I want to keep them as whole as I can, because I want this to be a little bit of a chunky sort of soup. I don't want a creamy soup. You can make it a creamy soup if you want. But this one, I kind of want a little chunky. I want to know, especially in the fall, like when it gets really chilly outside, a nice hearty soup, and this is a hearty soup, is such a wonderful thing. Some flatbread to go with this. Celery is really wonderful because it is really high in vitamins but low in carbs. So this is keto friendly. It would be, well, the sweet potatoes may not. If I used white sweet potatoes maybe. But the yellow sweet, so I take that back. It's not. Wonderful. Totally fragrant. So now I've got this going. I'm going to go ahead and toss in a cauliflower. While I have my cauliflower, I'm going to go ahead and toss in some of this bacon back, because I want that bacon to be in this as well. So kind of big pieces, just kind of hunks here. Back in. I'm going to use this really good fat piece. Give it a stir. Now I'm going to continue to let this cook for about 2 minutes, just moving it around, and then we're going to add some veggie stock to this. That's going to let it simmer for about 20 minutes, that veggie stock. But before I do that, rum-didda-rum-didda-rum-didda-rum. This is spiced rum. Now, I'll tell you, because this is kind of how I make potato soup as well, without the cauliflower. Vermouth in potato soup is so delicious. But the main thing of it is I want this alcohol to burn off. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little rum. Party at Peggy's. A little salt, a little pepper. Stir it around. A little thyme, fresh thyme. A little chopped rosemary. Never hurt anybody. Throw it right in there. The herbs are going to make it really fragrant. Gorgeous. So, let's let this cook, and for about 10 minutes here, just kind of keeping a stir on it, and then we'll come back. We're going to add some veggie stock to this, and we're going to start finishing this off with this little roux. Now, if you've never made a roux before, stay tuned, because I'm going to teach you how to make this roux that's going to turn this into a creamy, delicious soup. We're on our way, so y'all come back. I'm smelling rum. Okay, so beautiful. So what is happening here is this cauliflower is kind of roasting. You want to see these colors. Let me show you these colors. So it's kind of roasted in here. These vegetables have been sauteing, so it's got a little bit of char on it, which is nice because that is what is going to intensify. Yeah, don't grab that. This little Dutch oven is one of my favorite things in the world. Don't grab it when it's hot. Some veggie stock. And what I want to do is add it until it's just kind of, I would say this is probably about 2.5 cups, just to where my veggies are kind of floating. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more. Just until where my veggies are floating, but not too much. And what's going to happen here, so let's just say a good 3 cups of veggie stock in this little, this is my small little Dutch oven. And if you guys are interested in any of the spices, any of the tools that I use, I do have a guide free. Just put it together, and it's my top 6 essential tools to work with all of these vegetables. And this little Dutch oven is one of the things that I talk about in that guide, because it is just so essential for all of these. If you are in a CSA or you shop a lot at farmers markets, this is going to be your friend, because it's just beautiful. So I've got this veggie stock, so I'm going to put my lid back on. I'm going to turn it down to a slow simmer, and I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 minutes. And that's all I'm going to do, is just let it simmer. While this is simmering, and I'm going to put this on another eye and let it simmer, I'm going to show you how to make the roux, because the roux is really important. That's what's going to give it this, that's going to thicken it up, but it's also going to make this a very flavorful dish as well. So let me get that started, and we'll come back and we'll start making roux. So right now we have been cooking on our cauliflower and sweet potato soup for about 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take this off of my burner and set it aside, because now it's time to make the roux. Now, for those of you guys who have never heard of roux, basically a gravy, and it's a thickening, and it really adds a lot of flavor. So what you're going to need is butter. Butter is the key to a good roux. So I'm getting my pan hot. I'm going to turn it on about medium, and then I want to go with about half a stick of unsalted butter. Just beautiful. Well, this is actually salted butter. I grabbed the wrong one. So it doesn't matter. Just don't add as much salt. That's really the only difference. So you want to get your butter down, and it's the fat. So what I want to do is just get this melted down. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. But the big thing with roux is you don't want to burn it, so you have to keep stirring. Beautiful. Lovely. Now, to this, I'm going to start adding in flour. So, once my butter is melted down, which it's taken its sweet time to do, again, you want a lower heat. So, if it takes a little while to melt down, that's fine. And I'm already starting to stir because I know what's coming. Because this, you have to really work fast. So, I'm going to take flour, just plain old regular flour. I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons and just start whisking it. And it's going to incorporate into that butter. Turning my eye back down, I'm going to need a little bit more, so 3. I'm going to thicken it up. You don't want to burn it, so you're constantly whisking it. It's basically making a gravy, only just a little bit darker. So to this, salt, pepper, good coarse pepper, salt, whisk, and you're waiting for this to turn just a little bit darker in color. So here you go. If you can see this is what I have going on right now, is this color. I want just a little bit more of a cutting board color, just a little darker brown. And that is my roux. So just let it sit here. And then we're going to start adding milk. It's already thickened up really nice. Milk. And just start pouring it in. Whisking it. This is just whole milk. Now you can use almond milk. Roux is about fats. So see how it starts thickening it up? That gravy kind of thing. More milk. Just keep pouring on that milk. Sorry I don't have an overhead camera. I just don't have that many. I don't know how all of these people do their cooking shows with all those cameras. More cameras just make me flustered. I can't do it. So right now I've added about 2.5 cups of whole milk. Just keep cooking it down. Now I'm going to turn off my heat, or turn it down actually on a really low setting. Just keep whisking it. This is your opportunity to flavor. Now mine's getting just a little thick. This is the thing about when you're making gravy, when you're making roux, is it's going to react different every time. It's a variance of heat. It's a variance of milk. It's your fats that you put in it. So you have to make the decision. This is where you have to actually become the cook and decide if this is good for you, which that is perfect for me. I am going to add just a little bit more rum, just a little bit. Just to keep adding that flavor. I'm going to add some nutritional yeast into this. Again, flavor. A drop of sriracha for some heat. And then just stir that in. This is where your big flavor can be. You can have a lot of flavor in your roux. But you don't want, the main thing here is when you are starting to cook your roux, you want to cook that flour. You don't want a raw flour. So that's why in the beginning when I added the butter and you start adding that flour, you want to make sure that that flour is cooking. So before you add the milk, that's why you're looking for those darker colors. To this, I'm also going to add just some cheese. This is just some shredded cheese. This is going to give our soup a nice cheesy flavor, but not overly. Melt that down. Gorgeous. Now I save everything. My husband gets so mad. I mean, if it's a plastic container that I can store something in, I just, the one-use plastics. This is just some allspice, and allspice is going to go so nice with those sweet potatoes because that's going to kind of give it this little cinnamon kick. This cloves and cinnamon, just a little bit. This is perfect. So that is kind of what I'm looking for, is that kind of consistency. Because now, let me take this off my eye, just set it aside. Go ahead and turn my burner back on. Grab our soup, just like this. And now I'm going to start adding the roux. Just mix it in. And this is where you want to kind of be gentle. You want to kind of fold it in. That roux is going to kind of break apart and mix in here. So you're going to add a lot of, you're going to add the roux, but you don't want to I don't want to break up my vegetables because I want this to be a nice, chunky kind of soup. Beautiful. And this is going to give us that creamy base behind those nice, chunky vegetables. Just folding it in gently. You don't have to be rough here. Beautiful. Turn your eye down to low. And this is also where you can make your changes. So a good cook, especially when cooking these kind of recipes where you're adding and taking away, is all about taste. Son. Woo! The only thing that I want to add here is sriracha. Just a little more sriracha, just to give it some heat and some more salt. The thing about these vegetables, that's just 2 pinches, and about the roux is they tend to take up and hide your spices. So you really need to be, that rum in here, you can just barely taste that spiced rum. Vermouth. Well, I wish I had some vermouth. That would just be beautiful. So, here we go. That's it. That is my soup. All I'm going to do is I'll pop the lid right back on it. I'm going to give it a medium temp. I'm going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes, mixing in all of those flavors, and then I'm going to put it in a bowl. I'm going to garnish it, and this is done. So, yay! So cauliflower sweet potato soup, man, you can't beat it. With a rum, diddy rum, diddy rum, diddy rum. Anyway, we'll be right back, and I'll get this plated up, and here we go. Okay, so let's get this plated up. So here we go. I'll grab my towel so I can get my lid taken off. Wow. She's gorgeous. Those sweet potatoes are nice and tender, just how we want them. So I'm just going to take it and put it into a bowl. This is such a great fall soup. And all of these root vegetables like this are in season. I mean, just beautiful. Just gorgeous. Now, put my lid back on it. So the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give a chop up to some more bacon for garnish and flavor. Right on top. Delicious. A little scallion. And what I want to do is I want to get up here into this and some greens. Remember that celery? Just roll up this leaf like you would a cigar. Little celery right on top. And a spoon. And let me just show you how gorgeous this is. I mean, this is just delicious. That roux is nice and creamy, really brought out that creaminess. A little bit of kick with a little rum. Don't worry, the alcohol is all burnt off. You're not gonna get a buzz. I don't want to be a buzz killer here, but you're not gonna get a buzz off of it. But it adds a lot of flavor, that spiced rum. Sweet potatoes, beautiful tender sweet potatoes in here. Just, This is a great soup. It's super easy. It's going to be even better tomorrow. So enjoy cauliflower sweet potato soup with a little rum bitty rum.